Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about the EA-18G Growler, the F-18 equivalent of the electronic warfare fighter jet. Please remember to like and subscribe. Fact 1. A two-seater F-18. The EA-18G Growler is really just a two-seater F-18 that is commonly seen in the US Navy. Traditionally, in the F-18, unless it's a training jet, it usually only has one pilot. The EA-18G Growler has two seats by default because it requires a pilot and an electronic warfare officer in the back to handle all the electronic devices, jamming devices, and various other electromagnetic weapons. You can't rely on a single pilot to do everything and fly the jet at the same time. So you can think about the second seater in the EA-18G as the weapons officer. But instead of weapons, they're operating various electronic countermeasures, jamming devices, and so forth. I think it makes perfect sense because, as I mentioned, flying is already a task on itself. And you don't want to overburden the pilot any more than necessary, or else they might crash. And that's a terrible outcome to have. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 2. The electronic warfare. As I mentioned in the previous section, the EA-18G Growler is really designed for electronic warfare. Yes, it still carries missiles to defend itself, but that's not its primary purpose. The primary purpose of the EA-18G Growler is to conduct electronic warfare. What this means is that it uses various electronics equipment to conduct electronic warfare. For example, radar jamming. They can fly around to the enemy front lines and perform radar jamming so it could destroy the enemy's ability to highlight incoming targets. There's also electronic attack using electromagnetic energy weapons, direct energy weapons, or anti-radiation weapons to attack facilities, equipment, or even personnel sometimes. Imagine going into combat and taking away the enemy's ability to track you on radar. This is exactly what the EA-18G is designed for. And also, just like the F-18, the EA-18G Growler lands on the aircraft carrier as well. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 3. Australian Air Force. The EA-18 Growler's main operator of course is the United States, but there's one other nation that uses it, and is the Australian Air Force. Not the Australian Navy, but the Australian Air Force. The Australian Air Force is the only other country in the world that has procured the EA-18G from the US government and Boeing, who manufactures it. It is interesting that out of all the countries and allies of the United States, this is the only country that have selected EA-18G as their electronic warfare fighter jet. Besides the distinction of being the only other country operating these aircraft, the Australian Air Force also only operates one squadron of EA-18Gs, whereas the United States Navy and the Air Force combined has 20 squadrons of EA-18Gs. So it is interesting that no other countries uses it, and Australia uses it at a limited capacity. Alright, let's go to the next fact. Air Force usage. Now, the EA-18G is a F-18 derivative, but that does not mean only the United States Navy uses it. In fact, the Air Force, the United States Air Force, has selected the EA-18G as their electronic warfare fighter jet. The United States Air Force actually used to operate various different aircrafts for their electronic warfare fighter capabilities. For example, there is the General Dynamics Grumman EF-111A Raven, as well as the A-3 Sky Warrior, which was the first Air Force electronic warfare fighter jet. All the previous Air Force fighter jets for electronic warfare have been retired, and rather than come up with their own new designs and procure brand new aircraft, the Air Force decided to simply piggyback on the Navy's EA-18G. As a result, they used the Navy's EA-18G but supplied their own pilots. This means that there are some Air Force pilots flying F-18s. However, you won't find Air Force pilots taking off and landing on aircraft carriers anytime soon, because they probably operate from an airbase on land. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 5. Production ending. At the time of this video in early 2023, Boeing, the sole manufacturers of F-18 and EA-18G Growlers, have announced they are ending production of these fighter jets in 2025. They mentioned that there is a chance, if there are international buyers, that they can reactivate or continue the production of these fighter jets. But as of now, there are no such plans, and they will wind down production by 2025. This production wind down is a direct result of the United States Navy and the US government deciding not to procure any more F-18s or EA-18G Growlers. They have said that these aircrafts are too old and need to be replaced by next generation aircraft such as the F-35. And so the F-18 will slowly be phased out and be replaced by next generation aircrafts. So if you are a fan of F-18s, you want to catch them while they're still flying and still active in the US military. Pretty soon, I say within 10 years or so, you'll see all the F-18s retired and moved into the aircraft boneyard. And so, if you want to catch them, now is the time. And maybe in the future, some wealthy individual can buy an F-18 and use it for private purposes. This is of course when all F-18s have been fully decommissioned for a long time, and the United States Navy and Air Force are willing to let private individuals have this aircraft. Thank you so much for watching my video today. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.